Cordell Coleman, chair of the Dallas County Democratic Party. I like Progress Texas because you have the pulse. You have the pulse of what real Texans feel, what real Texans want, the kind of progress that we want to see in our state. Progressive people should feel encouraged because we're still winning on the local level. All politics are local, and if you look what happened here in Dallas County, specifically as it relates to our propositions, things like Proposition R passing, that's because of local organizing and storytelling from groups like Progress Texas. And so you don't see that kind of progress, that kind of innovation at a local level without storytelling, rapid response, and messaging from groups like Progress Texas and all of the other allied organizations that made it possible.
It's Thursday, March 6, 2025, and this is the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch, rapid response on the breaking news stories Texas progressives need to know. I'm Chris Mosier. Just minutes after posting yesterday's pod, the word came down of the sudden death of Houston Congressman Sylvester Turner, one of whose last acts was attending the Donald Trump congressional address on Tuesday night. Jasper Shearer at the Texas Tribune says Turner's passing at 70 came just 2 months into his first term representing Texas's 18th congressional district, a seat long occupied by Turner's political ally and predecessor, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, who also died in office last year. Turner and Lee are both icons of Texas and Houston Democratic politics. We learned in 2022 that Sylvester Turner had been discreetly treated for bone cancer, which he reported had been successful as he ran for the seat last summer. In a statement, his family reports that Turner was taken to hospital on Tuesday night after the Trump speech was released and later died at home early Wednesday morning from what the family calls enduring health complications. But as of this latest report from the Trib, there's no official cause of death yet announced. This report also includes an extensive review of Turner's impressive career and accomplishments, a worthy read, and our hearts hang heavy for Sylvester Turner's family and his many, many friends and colleagues at this news. An NBC report on Turner's passing notes that he had been observed apparently in medical distress in one of the Capitol complex's tunnels as early as Tuesday afternoon, which is before he recorded that last video with constituent Angela Hernandez, who had been invited by Turner to attend the Trump speech. She's advocating for the defense of Medicaid as her daughter has a rare genetic disorder. Turner's death means that Republicans now hold a 218 to 214 majority. With his seat empty, the GOP can still only afford one defection on any vote if all lawmakers are present and voting. According to state election law, Governor Greg Abbott must call a special election to fill this vacancy, but that process could take months. Despite kind words of remembrance and tribute for Turner from Republican electeds, including Texas Congressman Michael McCall, Speaker Mike Johnson, and Governor Abbott himself, we'll see if the governor can resist the urge to pull a Mitch McConnell here and drag his feet on scheduling this special election to replace Turner in that solid blue seat. Such a delay would hold the Democrats back by one vote, every single one of which matters with that razor-thin partisan split in the U.S. House. Sticking with Texas House Democrats, the only one who seemed to realize the gravity of the lies being spewed by Donald Trump in that speech the other night, Sylvester Turner's fellow Houston Congressman Al Green, is now the target of an expected censure vote in the House today. Kevin Fraking at the Associated Press says this censure resolution would officially register the House's deep disapproval of a member's conduct, and once it's approved by a majority vote, the member in question is asked to stand in the well of the House while the Speaker or presiding officer reads the resolution. Congressman Green offered no regrets when he explained his actions on the House floor yesterday. Before speaking in his own defense, he walked over to the Republican side of the chamber and shook the hand of Washington Republican Dan Newhouse, who is sponsoring this resolution of censure, placed no blame on Speaker Johnson or anyone else for his expulsion from the speech on Tuesday night, and told the House, quote, "Friends, I would do it again. This is a matter of principle. This is a matter of conscience. There are people suffering in this country because they don't have health care. On some issues that are matters of conscience, it is better to stand alone than not stand at all," unquote, and hell yes. The censure resolution, you ask us, should be considered a badge of honor for Congressman Green, especially considering the many, many instances in which loudmouth MAGA Republicans in that chamber have shouted much worse at Democratic presidents. The cynicism here is laughable, and to refer to Congressman Green's remarks from right after he was escorted out on Tuesday night, Trump and his MAGA cult have been allowed to weaponize incivility against Democratic civility for far too long. And all due respect to House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, who had called for a, quote, strong, determined, and dignified Democratic presence in the chamber, unquote, prior to the Trump speech, it's time for Democrats to stop bringing knives to gunfights. Back to Texas, where we've got all kinds of massive problems to deal with, but our GOP heroes at the Capitol are spending a lot of time hating on gay and trans people because that's clearly what their voters are fired up about. Alex Galbraith at Salon says a bill introduced by State Representative Tom Oliverson of Cypress, west of Houston, seeks to literally criminalize being transgender by creating the new crime of gender identity fraud. This would make, quote, identifying the person's biological sex as the opposite of the biological sex assigned to the person at birth, unquote, while dealing with either government entities or employers, a felony punishable by up to 2 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. Oliverson is also the guy who drew up the bill banning gender-affirming care for minors in Texas last session, which passed and is now state law. Meanwhile, the good old bathroom bill is back, too. Aiden Runnels at the Texas Tribune says House Bill 239, filed by Spring Republican Representative Valerie Swanson, has been co-authored by most of the GOP state House majority and aims to restrict the use of bathrooms by transgender people in public spaces. We've seen that movie before, but this goes further, as you might expect. House Bill 239 would apply to bathrooms in state and county-owned buildings, including the Capitol, public schools, agency buildings, and public universities. It also would require the segregation by sex of facilities and family violence shelters and prisons. First offense, a $5,000 fine. And if that's not enough, the story of a Texas Real Estate Commission employee who was recently fired for refusing to remove his pronouns from his email signature. Frank Zamora says the decision was a choice. He could keep a great job with a steady paycheck, a solid team, and a terrific boss, doing work he both believed in and was very good at, according to his performance reviews. But he would have to abandon his principles to keep all of that, which he chose not to do and was dismissed. The agency was acting in accordance with orders from Governor Abbott from late January, themselves modeled on marching orders from Donald Trump. We live in times where many of us will be tested in just this way: conform to right-wing ugliness or stand up for what we believe in. What will your choice be? At Progress Texas, we wish Frank Zamora all the best. See a full rundown from Bayless Wagner at the Austin American-Statesman in the show notes. The annual Amplify Austin Day charity and nonprofit fundraiser is happening right now. That is if you're listening to this before 6 p.m. on Thursday, March 6th. If you're a regular listener, do know that the funds we raise via Amplify Austin Day this year will directly support our podcast production efforts, and a donation is a great way to help keep this boat afloat. But in all honesty, the best way for you to support our podcast and the rest of our ongoing work here at Progress Texas is to become a regular monthly contributor. No amount is too small. Even $10 or $20 a month adds up great for us and gives you the satisfaction of backing the good guys, much as we've been talking about today. ProgressTexas.org/donate, and find the direct link to our page in the ongoing Amplify Austin Day fundraiser in the show notes. We appreciate the support very much. However, it comes thanks to B.E. Nix, Mark Tellerico, and Jamie Wood, all of whom have joined the team lately. We appreciate all of you very, very much. That's the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch for this Thursday, March 6, 2025. Links to all these original stories can be found in our show notes. Progress Texas is a nonprofit rapid response media organization promoting progressive messages and actions. While campaigns come and go, we're the permanent home for progressive media and action in the Lone Star State. I'm Chris Mosier. Thanks for listening. Have a great day, and we'll see you again tomorrow morning.